I ain't gonna lie. I've been holding a lot of shit in lately. Oh, man, I just had like a 3.5 hour cry.
What do I owe the pleasure? What do I owe the pleasure? Last time we speaking together, we wash your car for you. We wash your car. We wash your car with no shame in our hustle. When you goddamn getting into that wash, and you know that tip gonna be good, like you just goddamn this car. Y'all better start buying this slippery soap, man. What's going on there?
The streets are in chaos. Nobody saw this coming. 50 Cent just unleashed some explosive leaked tapes that have Rick Ross spiraling. But this isn't your average rap beef. This is a full-blown industry earthquake. Tapes, which also involve Diddy, have set the internet ablaze. And once you hear what's on them, you'll understand exactly why Ross is ready to scorch everything in sight. As for 50, he played this move like a grandmaster, pure calculated chaos, and it's legendary.
Bruh, just like New York, just like Mount Vernon, New York City, Mount Vernon, and Miami, all that is the same, bruh. Nobody wants to be near him. Nobody wants to touch what he touched, be where he at. You understand? It's crazy, bruh, how his fall from grace, which was never from grace, it's just like the devil just kicked him out of hell. Because he was never in nothing graceful and did anything graceful. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what you say about, okay, he did the music, he had the bad boy legacy and everything like that, man. But, you know, a few albums, a few people, you know, made to be famous, but they not here to tell their story. Black Rob, Biggie, Craig Mack. They not here to tell their story, bro. And now you got everybody telling his story.
Yeah, and I know 50, he did a recent interview with US Weekly saying that the reason why rappers are quiet about, you know, Diddy's situation is because they've been to his parties and they don't know what got caught on tape.
Bro, those people who was caught at Diddy's party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house.
Girl, let me spill the tea because 50 Cent just proved he's been playing the longest game in hip-hop history. Remember back in 2009 when Rick Ross tried to clown him with that whole Officer Ricky mess? Everyone thought it was just another rap beef. But 50? Oh no, he was playing chess while Ross was busy playing checkers. While Ross was out here celebrating like he'd won, 50 was moving in silence, stacking receipts, building connections, and keeping a close eye on every flashy move Ross made. The Wingstop money, the cars, the flexing, it was all being noted. But instead of clapping back immediately, 50 waited. He let Ross enjoy the spotlight, patiently biding his time for the perfect moment to strike. Fast forward to now. Ross is flooding social media, promoting his Checkers franchise, dropping business tips, and acting untouchable. That's when 50 made his move. If you were watching his Instagram the week before, the signs were there. He started with cryptic posts like, "Some people ain't broke, they just fake it real good," followed by the chilling, "Tick, tick, tick, time's almost up." Nobody knew what he meant, but the streets were buzzing. Then, boom! Out of nowhere, on a random Tuesday, 50 dropped the bomb. No warning, no teaser, just the first tape. Cold-blooded. No caption, no extra drama, just footage that spoke volumes. And baby, the internet exploded. Group chats lit up, timelines were in flames, and everybody knew one thing. 50 didn't just clap back, he flipped the whole table.
But he had 250 tape recorders in that house that they took, that the feds found. So now with them finding all that and you being at a Diddy party, you know you may have done something that was caught on one of those tapes. You just better pray to God that they don't recognize you. Those people who know that they did something, no, they're not going to speak out. They're not going to say nothing. What part of the game is that? They are not going to come forward and tell on themselves. Nah, not at all. Ice Cube, he said it himself, bro. He said that Diddy's been targeted because of what he said about those folks and those people. Now, the people who was on those tapes may feel like Diddy might be targeting them. Because if he's asked about who is this, who is that, and he's under oath with the federal government, he got to tell him. He's not going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, I know that got to be a terrible feeling, man. You know you did something wrong at Diddy party, and you hoping and praying that it's not caught on tape.
But they don't think they did nothing wrong. That's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle, bro. I ask guys all the time, if two men lay down, how many homos get up? What you mean? I mean what I mean. It's what it is.
The reactions hit like wildfire. Industry execs were calling emergency meetings, PR teams were scrambling, and anyone remotely connected to Ross or Diddy. Radio silent. This wasn't just a diss track or some messy DM leak. This was surgical, calculated, ruthless. 50 Cent had been lying in wait for years, plotting the ultimate takedown. And just when Ross thought he was untouchable, 50 yanked the rug out from under him. Right at his peak, the wildest part? Ross didn't even clock it at first. Word is, he was deep in a business meeting when his phone started going crazy. Calls, texts, non-stop notifications. His team was panicking. The leaked footage was already everywhere. Ross thought it was just another 50 stunt until he actually watched it. And when he did, that confident smile? Gone. Reality hit hard, and baby, if you thought that first tape was savage, the streets are saying 50's got more. Much more. Word is he's been sitting on a vault full of dirt, waiting for the perfect moment to detonate it all. It's like he's been scripting a revenge thriller for 14 years, with Ross as the clueless main character. But here's the kicker. That first tape? That was just the opening act. Now the question on everybody's mind, what else is 50 holding? If this was just phase one, what's coming next might just shake the whole industry to its core. And trust, Ross knows it. He's bracing for impact while the rest of the game watches, frozen, waiting to see what drops next.
Doesn't mean I'm confirming or I'm 100% factual, but it's somebody in this story of things that seems more reliable than others, Race, is what I'll say, just to protect my sources. But this source informed me of who these A-list celebrities are on these tapes that are being allegedly auctioned off online and through the networks. And it's put me in a little bit of a bind because I like to be fully transparent with the audience. I want to say things, but I also realize from what I'm told, because again, I haven't seen them directly yet. I haven't, and I don't know if I want to. Race, I want your advice on that too. But the problem I have is just like, typically I want to report these things, but I got to be careful legally, ethically, morally as to what we report on here. Because as Ariel, the lawyer here, did admit, and I can attest based on the information I got from a separate, reliable source, people in these videos don't know they're being videotaped. That's a big issue, Race, right? Let's start out right there. If there are people on these tapes that don't know that they were being filmed, is that okay to talk about and to share?
I have a big problem with that, as do you, Andy, and you tend to be an ethical guy and you're taking the high ground here. notwithstanding the fact that you may have some significant information and reliable information. But the reality is that, look, I mean, if people were recorded non-consensually and you're the one to identify them, I think that's a problem, right? And I think anytime anyone has content, right, this is not an email, this is not a text message, this is video. And there's specific statutes, without using specific language I don't want to get into, but everybody knows what we're talking about here.
It's Diddy with this person. I'll say that. It's Diddy with this person. Actually, yes.
Yeah, and see, the problem is, again, like non-consensually recorded, you've got a victim here who may not want to be publicly identified. That's the problem. That's the problem. And they have a right to proceed if they want to, whether it's criminally or civilly, without being identified, because we know what's going to happen. As soon as they identify themselves, there's going to be a bunch of people that come out of the woodwork who are going to unequivocally harass them and claim that didn't happen, and they're making stuff up. And there's the victims that we want to protect here, and that's significant.
Well, it's interesting because here's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know a lot of you are like, Andy, just say it. No, I'm not going to say them, but I wanted to have this conversation as to why we're not saying it and why I think others haven't yet said it, raised, because again, legally, ethically, morally, it's just not right. Now, there's an argument I've had with people who are like, well, they knew what they were doing with Diddy. Like these were consensual acts. Like they knew, and he filmed other times. So I don't know what the big deal is. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out is what I keep hearing from other reliable sources. It may, guys, it may come out, but it's not gonna come out via me. That's just to warn you all, because I don't think it's wise for us to put out something like you just confirmed it without the consent of the other person in the video. Because again, from what I'm gathering based on some of these tapes, and again, we're still learning more, and I haven't seen them with my own eyes.
Remember all those times Ross swore up and down that he never did business with certain people? Well, baby, that's exactly why these tapes are causing a meltdown, because the receipts, they don't lie. 50's got Ross caught in 4K doing the exact things he's been denying for years, and this isn't just some minor slip-up. We're talking footage of Ross in seriously compromising situations with Diddy. And no, not business dinners or industry events. These are private parties, and Ross is getting way too cozy with people he once claimed he didn't even know. But here's the part that's got jaws on the floor: the audio. In one clip, Ross is straight up bragging about how he and Diddy set up these so-called special arrangements with up-and-coming artists. And the way he talks about it? So casual, so confident, it's clear this wasn't a one-off. This was a system. A pattern. Industry insiders who've seen the tapes are already whispering that this kind of dirt could get someone blackballed from the business entirely. Because this isn't just messy, it's dangerous, and then there's the bombshell no one saw coming. These tapes are lining up perfectly with old rumors about Ross's early days. The stories he's been shutting down for years. The shady whispers about how he really got his start in the game. These tapes are painting a whole new picture. One where Ross is caught red-handed chillin' with the same people he swore he never touched, and casually discussing deals that go way beyond business as usual.
Isn't it weird that the government was so interested in Diddy's baby oil that they took 1,000 bottles away from his house? If the government took 1,000 bottles of baby oil and somebody had things what appeared to be baby oil, and then you have to listen to the prosecutor. He said that they seized 1,000 bottles what allegedly to be baby oil. Allegedly to be baby oil. So that's telling people that it wasn't baby oil. And people think that that was baby oil, they out their mind. I don't believe it was baby oil. Yo, bro, when they went up in there, they knew what they was gonna find. They knew what was ever in that baby oil or that those bottles that appeared to be baby oil, they knew about that at first. You gotta realize 9 times out of 10, that individual that got caught at the airport, that was supposed to be their carrier, told them what they was doing and what they had. I wouldn't put it past that he told them everything. So when they went up in there, they knew they had to take whatever was out there, and that thing that appeared to be baby oil, they took that. They got to test every last one of them. Let's see how much, let's see how many of those come back to be baby oil. Bro, listen to me. Costco don't sell that much baby oil. Where you know sell that much baby oil?
Yeah, I don't know any store that sell that much baby oil. I know Costco, they came out and said that they don't even sell baby oil.
My sentiments exactly.
But you personally, right, what do you believe was in the baby oil?
If you ever seen a massage parlor being raided and they walking out the people, do they take the massage oil with them when they go? No, they just walk out the people who are being arrested.
The reactions inside the industry? Absolutely insane. One executive, who chose to stay anonymous because they're still active in the game, said watching these tapes felt like witnessing someone's entire career collapse in real time. Another insider close to Ross's label admitted they had to call emergency meetings because no one had a clue how many more bombs 50 might be ready to drop. This ain't your regular rap beef. There are no diss tracks or messy DM leaks here. These tapes? They've got Ross and Diddy looking real suspicious, especially with all the other allegations floating around lately. And the timing? Couldn't be worse. Ross is out here trying to build a business empire, Wingstop franchises, Checkers deals, brand partnerships hanging by a very thin thread. And Diddy? He's already neck deep in his own legal and media storm. This is the kind of heat that makes corporate America run for cover. They don't play with scandal, especially not when there's video evidence involved. The real nightmare for Ross is this. Every time he tries to deny, downplay, or explain anything, 50 hits back with another clip. One by one, the lies unravel. It's like 50 had been shadowing him for years, collecting receipts, waiting for the perfect moment to flip the table, and when Ross finally got word about what was actually on those tapes, that's when things really went off the rails. It's one thing to hear whispers. It's another to see yourself exposed, in HD, in front of the entire world. And Ross's reaction? Oh honey, that's when the whole thing went from bad to full-on catastrophic.
If you ever seen a person getting arrested and the people being arrested in those brothel houses, do they take out the stuff in the brothel houses? No, they don't. They take the individuals who are being arrested out the brothel houses. For them to take 1,000 bottles of baby oil, it's like that they did not leave one. They left people there, but they ain't leave not one bottle. Nobody needed no baby oil. So my whole thing about it is that there was something in that other than baby oil. That's why they took all the bottles. And 9 times out of 10, if I would give it a wild guess, it was, and like some of the people told me, it was probably that GHB.
What's that?
I think it's gamma hydrox. I looked it up, bro. Let me see. See if I can find it. I know this is just showing everything like that, but oh no. Let me. Yo, somebody tap dance or sing or do something, you know what I'm saying, while I'm doing this. Oh, here it go right here. It's gamma hydroxy butyric. What is its effect on the body? It's a euphoria, drowsiness, decreased anxiety, and memory impairment. It works on the nervous system and gives you this feeling of euphoria. So they take that and rubbed it on her, and you forget who you are, what you're doing. It can also give you memory loss, drowsiness, and that's under the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration.gov.
When those notifications started blowing up phones at 3 a.m., nobody was ready for the storm that was about to hit. Ross wasn't just mad, he was going full scorched earth. Behind the scenes, veteran PR experts were texting each other like, "Somebody needs to stop him before he destroys everything." His first response? It hit Instagram like a nuclear bomb. 15 minutes of pure, unfiltered rage. Threats. Accusations. No filter. No script. His own team was scrambling behind the scenes, but the wildest part? Ross didn't even bother denying the tapes. Nope, he was coming straight for 50's neck. You could see it in his eyes. He was pacing like a man who hadn't slept in days. Every hour brought a new explosion. First came the voice messages, sent to anyone who dared share the video. Threatening lawsuits, hurling wild claims, even dragging up old dirt that was never meant to see daylight. His team tried everything: damage control, official statements, silent phone calls from top execs, but Ross wasn't hearing it. He was on IG Live again at 3 a.m., calling out names, spilling secrets, dropping reckless threats that even his own people couldn't defend. It was clear Ross wasn't fighting smart. He was on a full-blown warpath, and then he crossed the line. He started dropping addresses, not just 50's usual hangouts, but locations tied to his family. That's when things shifted. People who once stood by Ross, they started backing away fast. His PR team kept putting out carefully crafted statements, hoping to calm the fire. But every time they did, Ross jumped right back online and blew it all up again. Within minutes, behind the scenes, his business partners were blowing up his phone, begging him to stop, pleading with him to log off before he burned every bridge he'd ever built. What started as a PR nightmare had spiraled into a full-scale meltdown. And now? Nobody knows how far Ross is willing to go, or how this is all going to end.
Activities with other, A-listers having activities together is what this is. And again, that's a potentially outing of somebody as well. You know what I mean? There's so many things here that happen in releasing of this private consensual moment that while salaciously everybody wants to know, and people are messaging me all the time, Andy, who's what? And it's like, I'm not gonna say, because there seem to be way too many things that these people in the tapes, whether consensual, whether they, whatever, didn't agree to put out there. And I would think that's a legal issue too for anybody who puts these out first, no?
Yeah, you nailed it. You can't without the consent of the victim. That's the problem. Somebody thinks that somebody has no idea, right? You said, well, didn't they know they're being recorded? No. I mean, in these situations, the assumption is they did not know. And that's what we believe right now, is the victims did not know that they were being recorded. If the victim comes out and says, okay, yes, I knew I was recorded, and a statement is provided, that's a different story. But of course, you don't know that. So you, Andy, probably can't be the one to break that ice and be like, well, this is what I heard and this is what I know, and so I'm gonna say it. And there's all kinds of hairy legal issues on that, right? With privacy and intrusion on seclusion is what we call it. It's a privacy violation. There could be defamation implications. There could be criminal implications. So you're doing the right thing by treading carefully. And I think more people should do this rather than get into speculation. Now, if you see the videos, even still, right? If somebody takes the
not to interrupt, but that's the question. Like, am I allowed to see these videos? Like, if I were to ask this source, show me the videos, do I put myself in worse legal jeopardy?
That's another distinct legal issue, right? It's like you're watching something that someone didn't know they were being recorded of doing, right? And so it's dicey. It's dicey. Now, it would be different if you were an attorney and somebody's coming to you for purposes of defense or prosecution of a claim, a civil claim, or the filing, of some action to recover damages. That's a little different. But for purposes of, hey, look what I got, juicy gossip, and there are reporting outlets that I won't mention that will do stuff like this. I don't know that it's the smartest thing to do. I don't know that it's the careful thing to do. That's for sure. Or it's that it's the ethical or moral thing to do.
Yeah, it's exactly. I'm not a lawyer, but maybe this source will show you, and then you can verify what we know. But here's the other problem. Even if we verify what we know, like as I watched what Ariel, the lawyer, got these tapes, and even again, I don't want to get into the details, any remote details that could help explain or allude to even more of theories that are out there, or debunk or confirm. But I will say, hearing what I heard, which again isn't confirmation, but hearing what I heard, it makes me dislike what Ariel's doing even more, because I think there are going to be people out there, if this information does get out in some way, that are going to deny that these people are victims, that they're going to try to say, oh no, they're just consensually thing and they were hiding this affair and yada, yada, yada. And I don't see it that way personally. I mean, and granted, I haven't seen or know, like this isn't somebody involved from what I've gathered in these tapes of them, you know, doing it to others in a way, you know, criminally, like we've heard in some of these suits. This is just, it almost feels like, again, if it's real, like blackmail material that Diddy keeps to sort of hold over these people's heads. And to me, that's awful to the people in it, whether they agreed or knew or whatever. It still just feels like that's no one's freaking business. And maybe they were doing it for reasons we don't know. Just because we saw it in the tape doesn't mean they weren't feeling pressured in other ways, right? So it's a heavy and complicated thing, and but it's not a hard decision to say I can't run with trying to even allude to who these people are.
The desperate moves came fast and messy. Ross's team scrambled to hit 50 with copyright strikes, trying to get the tapes pulled offline. But by then, it was already too late. 50 had flooded the internet, clips everywhere. Social media, shady forums, private group chats. Once it hit the streets, there was no putting that genie back in the bottle, Ross. Panicking. Word is, he started throwing around millions, offering crazy money to anyone who could find the snitch behind the recordings. He wanted names. He wanted blood. But that move backfired big time, making him look desperate and dangerously paranoid. By sunrise, Ross had already violated at least 6 Instagram policies and had his account restricted 3 times. But instead of laying low, he went full chaos mode. Burner accounts popping up left and right, each post more unhinged than the last. His lawyers were blowing up his phone. His business partners were ready to bail. And still, Ross just kept tossing gasoline on the fire. Then came the fatal mistake. He started dragging other artists into the meltdown, naming names, exposing secrets, blowing the lid off industry tea that was never meant to see daylight. Who didn't pay for features? Who was faking streaming numbers? Who had backdoor deals tucked behind brand partnerships? It was like Ross didn't just want revenge. He wanted to take the entire industry down with him, and that's when people started choosing sides. Some folks, people who'd been waiting on Ross's fall for years, jumped in, siding with 50 and airing their own receipts. Others tried defending Ross, saying 50 went too far, holding on to tapes for over a decade just to ruin a man's life. But with Ross spiraling, making threats, dragging families, and nuking every relationship he had left, even his most loyal supporters started backing away. It wasn't just a meltdown, it was a full-blown detonation. Watching Ross go down was like watching someone light their own house on fire, just to bring the whole neighborhood down with them, and everyone knew, once you cross that line, there's no coming back.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, let's let this play out in the legal realm. If you ever get Ariel on your show, I'd love to talk with her and have this conversation if she's willing to do it publicly, because I still don't understand what her role is in all this. You know, and I've heard at times broker, I've heard at times advocate for victim, and I don't want to judge what she's doing or not doing. I'd love to just have a conversation about it, because I personally don't get it, right? This is a very sensitive thing. Again, if this gets turned over to the feds and the feds bring claims and this is outed, that's a totally different story. But the feds do what they're going to do. Like what we talked about months ago on your show, right? When this first went down, we knew when hard drives were seized and things happened that, look, they're going to build a case. They're going to build a case that they think they can prosecute. It's not for us to speculate what's there or what's not. But to say, you know, you have tangible evidence of something on camera that you've seen and that it's being sold in order to protect someone,
to avoid being publicly named, which is what even the lawyers are now admitting. It all feels really dirty and shady, man.
The only person that makes sense that could buy this is the victim, right? If the victim says, I don't want this to come out. Yes, it was consensual, but I don't want it to come out. I didn't know I was being recorded. Give it to that person.
Right, I guess, but you're right, because then they can actually own it. Maybe there is a version of this, and that's what Ariel's trying to allude to. You'll own it, and no other network's going to be able to buy it or show it if you own it and haven't given permission. I guess, is that maybe part of what they're trying to do here, in that the celebrity who buys it can actually then control it just from a clearance standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it still raises some legal concerns, right? Because let me say it this way: if this was a transaction, if this is a business transaction, wherein the victim is then acquiring the exclusive rights to this tape or tapes, and that the person who recorded it is avowing that they will not use it, I don't know where that leaves P. Diddy and the feds, right? But they have an independent right to bring this stuff to light if it gets prosecuted. But my point is, if you're transferring legal rights of this consensual or non-consensually recorded tape to the victim, I think that's a better position to be in. But then the question is this person even in a position to be able to buy the tape, right? Are they a high-level celebrity? Like, who are they? We can assume that they're celebrities with millions and millions of dollars to expend on something like this. Just raises a lot of questions, right?